Hi, welcome to my video on solving equations of the type A over B equals C over D. It's two equations equal to each other. Two fractions are equal to each other. But before I start, in the previous video, I made an error and I couldn't find it, but I found it after, which is what happens is when you go over what you have written down, you seem to follow the same error that you made. So what you should do is rewrite the problem on a clean sheet of paper and do it without looking at the original, and then you will see your mistake. So let's solve these that I couldn't do before because I couldn't find my mistake. A half times x is a half x. A half times 4 is 2. Remember, a half times 4. The 4 is over 1, cancels. You get 2 over 1, which is 2. 1/4 times x is 1/4 x. And 1/4 times -2. The -2 is over 1. So you could go 2 into -2 is -1. 2 into 4 is 2. So that gives you a -1/2. Now, we move the x's to the left. And when we do, we change the sign, so positive becomes a negative. And we move the numbers to the right. We change the signs, and positive becomes a negative. We simplify both of these sides, so common denominator is 4. 2 and 4 common LCD is 4. So -1/4 stays the same. And 2 into 4 goes 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Or you can think about multiplying by 2 over 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And the common denominator for this side is a 2. So we got a half. And 2 is 2 over 1. So we multiply it by 2 over 2. So we get a -1/2 and a -4 over 2. -4 over 2 divide is a -2. When we add these, we get a 1. My mistake before is that when I said 1, I wrote down a -1 here, and then I couldn't find the error because I was looking at the same mistake all the time. -1, -4 is -5 over the common denominator of 2. Now I multiply both sides by 4. The reciprocal of 1/4 is 4. A number multiplied by its reciprocal is 1. And 4 over 1, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice. It gives me a -10. So let's check just to make sure. A half, I'm putting a -10 in the place of x. I'm putting a -10 in the place of x. And I have to work out the inside of these brackets first. PEMDAS says inside the brackets first. -12, 2 into 6 goes -3, and 4 into -12 is -3. Remember, a half times -6, put it over 1. And you can multiply two ways. You get 1 times -6 is -6. 2 times 1 is 2. That gives you -3. Or, if you want, you can cancel. The 6 is over 1. 2 into 2 goes once. 2 into -6 goes -3. 1 times -3 is -3. 1 times 1 is 1. So that gives you -3. Anyway, that's the correction. I made an error, and I said I would do it on the beginning of the next video. And this is the beginning of the next video. So, let's continue. We're going to solve equations of the type A over B equals C over D. So what happens is that when we have these, we know we can go A times D equals B times C. So the dot is the multiplication. I can use a bracket if I want. A times D, B times C. Or cross multiplying. So let's check. 2 times 9 equals 3 times 6. 18 equals 18, correct. 5 times 14 equals 7 times 10. So that's a 70, and that's a 70. So we're going to use this equation. Two fractions equal to each other. We're going to cross multiply. Two fractions have to be equal to each other. cross multiply. So this is x times 15 equals 5 times 6. 15x equals 30, divide by 15. And we get x equals to 2. Remember, the 15's cancel, give you 1. Cross multiply. 3x times 4. A times D equals B times C. Cross multiply. And that's 8 times 6. 12x equals 6 8 to 48. Divide by 12. X equals 4. Cross multiply. So we can go, we have two choices here now. We can go 2 times x plus 4 or x plus 4 times 2. When I'm multiplying a monomial and a binomial, I always put the monomial in front of the binomial when I'm going to multiply. That's just me. I'll put 2 in front of, so even though I could go x plus 4 times 2 equals 6 times 1, I could do this and then multiply the 2 by both of them, or multiply the x by the 2 and the 4 by the 2, same thing. I prefer to put the monomial in front of the binomial, and then the easy is 2x plus 8 equals 6. No, 2 times x, 2 times 4. So 2x equals 6 minus 8 when you transpose it over, change the sign. 2x equals negative 2. Divide by 2 and you get x equals negative 1. Again, same, you're cross multiplying, so you can go, you have a choice, so you can go 5 times 3x plus 4. You have to multiply these two together, and you have to multiply these two. So you can go 10 times 7 or 7 times 10 is your choice. Because 5 times 7, 10 times 7 is the same as 7 times 10. So how you want to write these, what order is your choice. Now we multiply 5 by 3x is 15x. 5 by 4 is 20, negative 70. And 15x equals 70 plus 20. When you move across, you change the sign. 15x equals 90. And you divide by 15 on both sides. And you get 15's cancelled to give you 1. 15 to 90 goes 6 times. Cross multiply again, it makes no difference. So the top times the bottom. So it's 5 times x minus 1 equals 2 times x plus 3. So remember, 5 times x minus 1, you could have x minus 1 with a 5 over here. But I prefer to put the monomial in front of the binomial. And multiply that, 5x and a negative 5. 2 times x, 2 times 3. X's go on the right side, change the sign. Numbers go on the right. X's go on the left side, change the sign. Numbers go on the right side, change the sign. So we get 3x equals 11. And divide by 3. So x is 11 over 3. Notice this didn't cancel out. You still have fractions. You could have whole numbers, fractions, integers, negatives, anything now, because remember we solved with fractions in the previous video. Cross multiply, top times bottom, so it's 2 times 4x minus 3, and it's 3 times 3x plus 1. So 2 times this one, and 3 times this. Done. Multiply. 8x minus 6 equals 9x plus 3. Again, 2 times 4x, 2 times negative 3. 3 times 3x, 3 times 1. Distributive. And move your x's to the left and your numbers to the right. Plus becomes a minus when you move it across. Minus becomes a plus. That gives me negative x equals 9. Notice this is understood to be negative 1. So we divide both sides by negative 1. So x equals negative 9. G, we're cross multiplying again. So it's 10 times x, top times the bottom, equals 2 times x minus 8. Again, I prefer to put the number in front of the brackets. Put the monomial in front of the binomial. It's 10 times x, 10x. I could have said 10 times x is 10x right away without doing this. I could have said 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. When I know what I'm doing, I can omit the step if I want. But again, it's always good to write it down, and then your mistake is hopefully not made. The plus 2 becomes a minus 2 because we transposed it. And that gives me 8x equals negative 16. Divide by 8. I get 8's cancel, give me 1. That's a negative 2. H, we're cross multiplying. So 16 top times the bottom. So 16 times x plus 2 equals 5 times 5x plus 1. So top times the bottom, bottom times the top. Multiply 16 times x, 16x. 16 times 2, 32. 5 times 5x is 25x. 5 times 1 is 5. X's go to the left. Numbers go to the right. And as we move them, we change. Plus becomes a minus. Plus becomes a minus. That's a negative 9x equals negative 27. And we divide by negative 9. And they cancel out to give me a 1. And that's a 3. Again, we're cross multiplying. Two fractions equal. You cross multiply. A times D equals B times C. We practiced that before when we were doing ratio and proportions in my earlier videos. But now in math, we will do this again when we do similar triangles. This will always keep coming back and back and back. Practice. What does practice mean? Pause the video and work these out. When you get it all answered, then play the video to see if you're right. So x times 3 is 3 times x equals 6 times 2. 3x equals 12. Divide by 3, x equals 4. Again, you could have said 3 times x is 3x and 2 times 6 is 12 without writing this step. 6 times 5x, but I will write it down. And 12 times 5. Writing it down, 30x, 60, divide by 30. X equals, 30's cancel, give you 1. 60 divided by 30 is 2. Cross multiply. 4 times x minus 7 equals 8 times 2. 4x minus 28 equals 16. 4x equals 16 plus 28. 4x equals 44. Divide by 4, x equals 11. So notice I cross multiplied it out. 4 times x, 4 times 7, and 28 moves over to become a plus, added up to 4, 44, divided by 4. 11 is the answer. Number 4, 9 times 2x plus 8 equals 6 times 6. 9 times 2x, 18x. 9 times 8, 8 nines are 72. 6 times 6 is 36. 18x is by itself. 36 minus 72. 18x equals, I think that's a negative 36. Divide by 18, and I get x equals negative 2. Remember, the 18's cancel to give me a 1. There's the 1. Cross multiply again. 8 times x plus 5. I like to put the monomial in front of the binomial. 12 times x plus 3. I just like the monomial in front. You can put 5. You can have x plus 5 times 8 and put the 8 on the right side, but I prefer to put the 8 in the front. Multiply. 8 times x, 8x. 8 times 5, 40. 12 times x, 12x. 12 times 3, 36. The x's go on the left, change the sign. You're moving it across. And the number plus 40 moves over to the right, become a negative 40. That gives us a negative 4x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by negative 4. That gives me a 1x, and that gives me a 1. So x equals 1. Number 6, cross multiply. 4 times 2 subtract 10x equals 8 times 4x plus 10. And multiply, you get 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times negative 10x, negative 40x. 8 times 4x is 32x. 8 times 10 is 80. Bring the x's. Negative 40x is here already. Bring this one over, negative 32x. 80 stays there. Bring your 8 over to give negative 8. And that gives you negative 72x equals 72. Divide by negative 72 on each side. That gives me 1x, and that gives me negative 1. So cross multiplying, very easy to do when two fractions are equal. So 5 is multiplied by 5x plus 1. And 8 is multiplied by negative 2x plus 16. Multiply 25x. 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times negative 2x, negative 16x. 8 times 16 is 1, let's see, got a 6 8 to 48, 128, right? 6 8 to 48 to carry a 4, 128. And the negative 16 becomes plus 16 on the left, and the 5 becomes negative on the right. Negative becomes a positive when you move over, positive becomes a negative when you move it over. That's a positive 41x equals 123. Divide by 41, and the 41s cancel. 41 into 123 looks like about 3 times. Perfect. And they're all worked out. Hopefully you did well, and you cross multiplied. Two fractions are equal, cross multiply. And the last page, we work this out. Practice. Practice means pause the video and see if you can work these out. Is 4 a solution of that? What does that mean? Well, is it a solution? We have to sub 4 back in. We're going to put 4 back into this equation. See if 4 is a solution. So we have to multiply before we add according to bed mass. So that's an 8 plus 1 over 6. Notice that 12 over 8, we can reduce it, but just leave it alone, as I was saying. We get 9 over 6 equals 12 over 8. Now, you can cross multiply or you can reduce both, your choice. 9 over 6, 3 into 9 goes 3, 3 into 6 goes 2. 4 into 12 goes 3, 4 into 8 goes 2. So both of them are the same. Or you can go 8 times 9 and 6 times 12, because you can cross multiply. 8 9s are 72, 6 times 12 is 72. So either reduce them to get the same or cross multiply. And is a negative a half a solution of this one? So let's put a negative a half in. Notice we put it in brackets because it's 6 times. A negative a half goes in the place of x. And we're going to work this out to see if it becomes a 4. So I put a negative a half in the place of x twice right there. We work the top. A half of 6 is negative 3. A half of 4 is 2. Notice I have nothing to do with this side because it's already done. And that gives us negative 2 over 1. And that gives us negative 2 equals 4. So, yep, it's not a solution. No. Negative a half is not a solution. Now, number 3, it says solve and check. So we're going to solve it first, and then we're going to check it after. So here we go. It's top times bottom, so it's 3 times negative x plus 2 equals 9 times 2x plus 8. Reminder, I prefer to put the monomial in front of the binomial. Multiply. 3 times negative 5x, negative 15x. 3 times 2 is 6. 9 times 2x is 18x. 9 times 8 is 72. X's go to the left. numbers go to the right. You change your signs. Plus becomes a minus, plus becomes a minus. Negative 33x. And when you add that up, you get a 66 positive. And then you divide by negative 33. They cancel. They give you x is equal to 33 into 66 goes negative 2. So let's check. Now, you write down the original equation exactly as it is. There it is. I now will put negative 2 in its place of x. That side is done. Negative 2 goes in the place of x. That side is done. As long as it's written down correctly, you could make a mistake and write it down. And we have to simplify the numerator. So we have to, BEDMAS says we multiply before we add because it's on the right, sorry, on the left. So that's a 10 plus 2 over 9. And that's a negative 4 plus 8 over 3. That's a 12 over 9. And that's a 4 over 3. Two choices. 12 over 4 into 12 goes 3. Sorry, 3 into 12 goes 4. 3 is the GCF. 3 into 9 goes 3. So you can reduce 12 over 9 to 4 over 3 and say, yep, negative 2 is an answer. Or you can go 12 times 3 equals 9 times 4 by cross multiplying. So you have 36 equals 36. And that's true. So either way, reduce this to 4 over 3 and say they're equal, or cross multiply. But negative 2 is your root, and you know you're right. That brings us to the end of solving an equation when two fractions are equal. You cross multiply. If you like your video, click the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. And click the notification bell to receive a notification, because there's more videos coming through from grade 10, 11, and 12. I'm working my way through as time goes by. And write a comment on my video if you wish, if you're a subscriber. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com. And I got 3 sections. One on me, my degrees in teaching experience. Section on video tells about the teaching strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. And the content has the units and the topics, the topics, or units, whatever you want to call it, and the number of videos on those topics. And black font is the topics that are online right now on my YouTube channel. And the red font is the ones that I'll be developing in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.